when he came, he didn't make anything better. You know, he has no experience in foreign politics. He has no experience in anything.
But how do you see the situation with the Ethiopian High Dam? Do you think there's a way out of this crisis?
Mind you, it is for the best of them, not of us, that they choose really common sense and not just getting on Egypt. This is the situation. I'm getting on Egypt. No, we both want to coexist. We both want to develop. We both want.
But how can we reach a middle ground on the situation?
You know, it has to come from them, because we are ready to compromise. We told them, if you fill the dam in less than 3 years, there will be drought in Egypt. But if they take the time, okay, to build it, but they have to
I think the
make
recommendation
sure
was to fill it out in 5 years.
3 years. But the point is not just this. Is it really, you know, sensible to build such a huge, triple as much? Do they really need all that? That's another totally different question. And let's go and face the Israelis, who are really, you know, supporting the Ethiopians. We are having a peace agreement. Why are you stabbing us in the back? There has to be a real confrontation between Egypt and Israel. I mean, not confrontation. I never mean war, definitely. But I mean, you know, sending a missionary from President Sisi and telling them, okay, come on, let's sit on the table. We have an agreement, a peace agreement. Why are you doing that? Okay.
Back to Al-Ahram for more local news, and we read from its front page a slight improvement in the weather conditions. A wave of cold weather continues to hit Egypt with strong winds, and experts at the meteorological authorities say the temperatures are expected to rise gradually starting Sunday.
Which is today?
Which is today. It doesn't show really.
At all.
It doesn't show.
Maybe if I go there, I'll be more accurate.
Maybe by midday or something. This was tackled in Al Masri Al-Yom front page, and we read the meteorological authority expects an improvement in the weather conditions. The Alexandria Ports Authority continues to the closure of the 2 harbors in Alexandria and the Khela because of increased wind speeds and rising waves. And the Red Sea Crisis Management announces a state of emergency and takes precautionary procedures. How do you see the improvement in the weather taking place so far?
I didn't see it today when I was coming. Actually, I wasn't going to be able to come.
Right, but
I mean,
maybe we will
my
experience
question will always
better,
remain like what President Al-Sisi said in his speech in Al-Azhar, okay, that he urged people to really work, okay. This is not doing your, what we French devoir well, okay. You have to do your homework.
Right.
And I believe this meteorological authority is probably looking somewhere else, not Egypt.
Maybe it would get better by midday. Let's look forward to this.
You want to encourage them? Okay.
Let's
I will go with you.
And we move on to another major issue that also dominated the headlines in the papers, not only today, but since last week. And from Al-Ahram, we read the deployment of army forces in Paris, and Al-Qaeda threatens new attacks. Million-man marches in France today to denounce terrorism. And American newspapers asked for Egypt's help. The Washington Times calls on Obama to learn from President Al-Sisi and ask, can the United States learn from Egypt how to defeat terrorism? And still with the same issue, and from Al Masri Al-Yom front page, we read, Holland and Europe's leaders lead the French million-man march against terrorism today. The French police chased the partners in the Koulibaly Kouachi cell, and the French army secures Paris. Kouachi, rather. Yes. And a related headline comes from Al-Yom Al-Sabi, and we read, a huge European demonstration against terrorism. Paris leaves the plan of combating terrorism on the highest level, and Washington warns the citizens from possible attacks by Daesh. How do you see the situation with the terrorism now everywhere? It started now in
We
Europe
warn
and
many. I've been warning Europe and the United States since the summer, if you remember. or
right.
even
It's moving
before
on to
that.
Europe and
Why? Because if you raise a monster, okay, who created them in the first place? To kill us, as if we are of no consequence, okay?
right.
Many Egyptians have fallen dead. And we see that this hesitation on part of, not of the French, but mostly of Obama to declare the Brotherhoods as a terrorist organization.
Right, so
okay?
far.
And with not supplying Egypt with the Apaches so that we fight terrorists. So the terrorism went to them, okay? We've been dying.
What do you think will be
since,
the next step after
since
Europe?
2013 with the Nahda and this Rabaa issue, okay? And nobody cared, as if we have no right to exist.
Right.
Okay, so human rights is only a slogan raised against us, not pro us as human beings. We are all human beings. We all have the right to exist. Okay, my heart, yes, goes to those who have been paying their lives for their free mind. Okay, true, I don't have to be, you know, against Islam or against any religion, but nevertheless, I have to have a free mind. I have to have a free pen. Okay, to write.
Fighting thought with thought.
Exactly, and if you remember the nice words that President El-Sisi really was really doing this, like you know, pressing the button or you know, pressing a ring, telling everybody, look, we are faced by terrorism. The only way to fight it is to revolutionize, you know, the Al-Azhar, to revolutionize the idea that Al-Azhar is advocating. Nobody is doing anything.
Right.
The only one who is doing everything is President Al-Sisi. And if you listened yesterday, no, the day before yesterday in Fox News, okay, they were saying, though the words that President Al-Sisi said in Al-Azhar did not receive real attention, this guy is, they equated him to Martin Luther King. Why? Because he is advocating something new. He is advocating a revolution in the thinking of the clergymen in Egypt, who really rise up and go down for doing nothing. And then we say Al-Azhar is infiltrated. Is the Al-Azhar infiltrated or it is not? What is written in the books of our kids, is it really pro the coexistence or not? I mean, there is something wrong going on.
How can this issue be clarified?
In my opinion, first, President Sisi should make a committee that is independent from Al-Azhar, that is really having an enlightened
Free mind.
Mind. We are teaching our kids rubbish, not just in religion, in everything. We have to do a revolution in everything. If really this country wants to go further and wants to move forward, okay?
Right.
And, you know, as if President Sisi is in a little passage and the rest of the people are in another. Mind you, these are 4 individuals. All of them were born in France. Okay?
Right, this is
and
true.
they have French nationality. And they remember the guy, the policeman, who turns out to be a Muslim, whom they killed, Ahmed, you know, who was lying on the pavement and was begging for his life. He asked him, kill us? He said no. And still he shot him. Is that Islam? Is that the Islam they want to portray? And Daesh, of course, she finds Europe, which is always, you know, very scared of terrorism. We are, and we were not even invited. Do you know that? For the
how do you think
international
the world
conference.
countries,
Egypt was not invited. though we are the country that has been facing terrorism since 1995, and still they continued as people from Shishan, from Afghanistan, you know, and still the U.S. is making mistakes by providing Daesh with weapons by mistake,
How do you think world countries can cooperate to fight terrorism on the ground?
On the ground?
I mean, positives in positive steps.
Positive steps, they cannot fight on the ground. Okay, nobody knows Sinai more than the Egyptian army. Okay, knows, by the way, Iraq better than the real Iraqi army that has been, you know, dissected by Paul Breimer back in 2003. So, in fact, it's only the people, the original armies, even in Libya. You see what is going on.
The situation is getting worse.
Worse every day. Okay, and I think France is paying for its foreign policy towards. It's actually not just foreign policy. It's interference in Syria, in Libya, in Yemen.
Right.
Okay.
Dr. Mervat Madkour, Professor of Political Economy of the Middle East Research and Development. Many thanks for your input.
You're most welcome.
With this, we come to the end of this press review for today, and we'll be back to resume our breakfast show after the top stories.